I was thinking about, I was talking to my mom, and my mom's Haitian, as you guys already know that we together are Haitian. Okay, two Haitians here.
Hello.
And I was talking to my mom, and my mom is about 50 years old, so I was asking, my mom's from Haiti, but I'm just going to say that she's cultured for the purpose of the video, because I think my mom's very intelligent, and she's very cultured, and I was asking her, like, I was like, Mom, do you think this is worse than Rodney King? She's like, Vivianie, this is 10 times worse than Rodney King. And I was asking her, as a person that probably lived through that time and understood what was going on in the world then, why do you feel like it was so, what was the difference? And she's like, Vivianie, she goes, yes, Rodney King was caught on video, yes, but Rodney King was caught on video by like a cop car. It wasn't even caught on video by this was caught by a person live. This is real time.
Right.
She goes, Rodney King was very similar to Ahmaud Arbery. Like, we knew after the fact, and then the riots happened after the fact. George Floyd happened in real time.
Yeah.
So of course it felt more intense. And I'm listening to my mother talk, and I can see, even though she doesn't have the African American Black experience in the United States, being a Haitian woman, she understood and like genuinely empathized so much. Right. And I think that was one of the best conversations I've had with her up to this day. Because I think that because growing up Haitian, you don't have the Black experience, because when you go home, honey,
you're not Black, you're Haitian.
It's a whole different ballgame, okay?
Yo.
And I think anybody from any island can relate. If you walk into your Haitian house and it's being ran the way we know it could be ran, like every Caribbean meme and video that we all can relate to, it's just a different ballgame. And I just remember growing up having both. You know, one of my favorite rappers, his name is Toby Nigwe. I hope I said his last name right.
I love him.
Love him. And
he's so cool. I never listened to him.
Love him. Alright, cool. He's an African, he's a Nigerian descent person, and he's raised in, was raised in Alien, Texas, and his music is bomb. And he was talking about how people that do get raised in, you know, America have a different experience. We can cut both. Right. You know, when you're coming off the flight in the boat, you don't have the same experience. You can't be coming up like,
yeah, baby, what's going on?
It's not. It's not the same experience. It's not the same experience. You do have both the Black experience, a typical Black experience growing up in just being in school and having social experiences, and then you go home and you have a different experience, the Caribbean, you know, traditional experience. So when I was talking to my mother, and I honey, we all know, if you don't know, Haitian mothers don't play. So listening to her talk, I was like, I really understand, because I felt like we were always, I always felt like when it came down both my parents, that there was a certain level of like disconnect, because they're Haitian. They didn't. You would never hear my parents say I'm Black. They're like, I'm Haitian, honey. That's just what it was for them. So when I was talking to my mom, I felt like that was the first time that our lives connected.
Finally merged. Yeah.
And it was just a light bulb moment for me, because I was like, dang, like I never thought my mom was. Listen, let's give her some credit. But I'm not saying that she would never thought about it. That's not what I'm saying, people. I'm just saying that I didn't think that she thought about it the exact same way
that you did.
I did.
Right.
Knowing that I actually had the experience and she didn't.
Yeah.
She came here more or less as an adult.
And I think that's why it's very important for us to have these conversations in our homes and the people that are in our circle. In order for us to make that connection, you know, and actually make this thing a reality. Because I still don't think that a lot of people understand that this is our everyday, that this is our real life, that this is our reality, this is what we see, this is what we live, you know what I mean? And I feel like that is how even if you don't have any money to like donate or sign a petition, or even if there are things that you can't
signing
do,
a petition is free.
Yes, hello, you ain't paying no, okay.
Back to what you're saying.
Back to what I was saying.
Money.
Like, I think that you can start by having these conversations and bringing, you know, this matter to light. And that's how I think you can start. By changing.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's so crazy. I also think about, like I was saying, the kids of the future. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, there has to be a way. I have brothers and sisters. Yeah. You know, and they're all Black. Let's be really clear. And I have two younger brothers. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, even though all of us are being raised in the Haitian tradition, I would like to know if they understand what it takes. What do they have to do if the police pulls them over when they're 18?
Right. No, I had that conversation with my brother. Told him straight up.
Because I feel like, and this is the reason why I feel like there was a little bit of a disconnect between both my parents, is because there was none of those conversations. My parents are very clear, is that you don't get in trouble, you mind your business, you keep your head low, and you come home to me. That's what matters. There's never a conversation where, how do you protect your life
right.
in this scenario?
Yeah.
Because it's obviously the experience for an African American woman or a black woman in comparison to a black man is too different. I can't relate to somebody, you know, pulling me over and investigating me in a way as I think a black man would get investigated or a black man would be questioned. But I can relate to walking into a store and a woman clenching her purse.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever. I mean, like, I work in one of the biggest malls in South Florida, and I can relate walking into a store and people looking at me like I don't belong there.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can relate to immediately feeling othered. And yeah. I don't know, and when I'm in those spaces, I think being in those spaces makes me think about my siblings, makes me think about my kids.
Yeah.
My kids are gonna be black, so it's kind of like, how am I gonna? Where do you begin? Yes.
How do you start? Yeah.
And I think it all starts with the conversations.
For sure.
And I think that the reason why I also titled this video something in regards to mental health is because my mental health was at stake when it came to this storyline, and I knew it was at stake when I could not be on social media anymore. I was crying. We were sobbing. She was telling me how she saw. I was like, I was crying too. Like, we talked about it, and I literally shed a tear because it's not an easy thing to think about, and it's not an easy thing to face, but it is something that needs to be spoken about. Yeah. It is something that needs to be changed, addressed, and canceled, honey, all day long, because it matters, and it's so important. And I think that I wouldn't have done this video with anybody else because we were on the same. You don't understand, guys. Like, we were on the same wavelength. Because once this video goes live, you guys will see the time frame between this video and my Get to Know Me video. And I already had 2 videos ready to go, and I was like, Neyissa, I was talking to my best friend. I was like, Mia, listen, guys, I don't know how I'm gonna feel if I go back on these YouTube videos and I don't feel like I said something. I don't know what to do. And she was like, baby, I don't know what to tell you, but I was sobbing. I was like, me too. And we were just on the same wavelength about this conversation, about this situation, and it just really made me feel less othered. Yeah. That's the best way I can put it. Yeah. Because I'm working in an environment where there's only like 5 of us in a building. You know what I mean? I'm talking about a building of like 300 people plus, and there's like a total of no more than 10 black people, women and men, in my building. I can't find anybody that I can relate to. Luckily, I do have a store manager that really cared about me, and she pulled me to the side and was like, listen, Vivi, if you need anything, you let me know. But without her being in that position, in where she was, in that space, I felt othered. And I genuinely I couldn't figure it out. So I think that the mental health part is really taking into account that this is affecting me on a very... it's like worse than a heartbreak. It's like worse than a breakup. It's worse than losing your best friend, because this is not gonna stop. Yeah. And I had to really do my research, and I really had to take a moment. And I know a lot of people I wrote these in my notes, and I was saying a lot of people were saying, like, maybe this is gonna be preaching to the choir, like the same reason why that lady at my job thought protesting was unnecessary. And I was thinking to myself, a lot of people are like, oh, what? The black people always go through this. They always have this. They always, okay, but this narrative is not okay. Not only is it not okay, this narrative needs to be spoken about from today until it ends. Right. So I think that a lot of people were like, oh, but this is probably preaching to the choir. Yeah. You guys probably just don't understand how to conduct yourselves. Like, no. Right. Was it the senator of New York, or was it the governor?
It was senator. I think it was senator.
Of New York got pepper sprayed and taken to jail. Not trying to be the senator. Not in run to be. Already presently date today. Yeah. Was in a protest and got put to jail and maced. So what does that tell you? That tells you that regardless of where you are still seen as the other. And knowing how to build and bond together. I saw a picture of these 2 black boys and a white boy that were best friends since kids, and they all had a protest picture with the 3 of them. So they have a picture of the 3 of them as kids, and they have a picture of the 3 of them at the protest. And the white friend's sign said, "I'm not black, but my brothers are."
Hello.
And I just got chills. Chills.
That's giving chills, bro.
Because I was like, that proves that, like I said, there's no racist baby. Racism is learned.
Racism is taught. It is taught.
And it's learned. I agree with you. Period.
Because my brother's best friend is white.
Yes.
they grew
my
up
best
together.
friend is Hispanic.
And see? Look.
And she was like, Vivi, listen, honey.
Right.
You better. Like, she was like with the bass of her voice.
You better.
Because if anybody knew me, like how you know me since high school, everybody knew me like back in the day. They're like, Vivi, you're so I've never known you not to be. It's what Neyissa told me. She's like, I've never known you to feel anything than just genuinely distaste for this topic.
Yeah.
And what you have to say is necessary. So we gonna get on this camera.
And we gonna talk about it.
And we gonna talk about it. So I think that period. And I think that was just such a necessary conversation. I think it's crazy, but I do agree with you. I think the conversations definitely start in the household.
Yeah, and to go back to the mental health thing that you were saying, because it was the same thing for me. Like I told you, I was just tired and dismissive, and it was just this whole thing repeating all over again. And I feel like if I did not have a strong community, if I didn't have like people around me that I was able to talk to about this, because when I tell you I was in my room and I was I was breaking the story down, and as I was breaking it down, I was getting angry. And I was going through a list of emotions, and it was just like, yo, how do I take all of this emotion and not go outside and get angry? Like, how do I not take this emotion and go outside and look at a white person and be like, we're different? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I still keep my peace? How do I still keep that love? How do I still look at the person as a regular human being, knowing that this is what's happening to my kind?
What's so crazy is I was talking to my dad about it too, because I was talking about my parents. I was talking about my parents, but my dad's a pastor and my mother's a nurse. They have very different perspectives on life in general, drastically different. And my dad, the two things that my dad has always raised my siblings and I on is there's literally two things. I'm gonna tell you my mother's one and my dad's one. My dad's one was the only two things you need in your life is God and education.
Hello.
And the second thing he said is that you kill all things with love and kindness.
That's right.
My mom, two things that my mom has always taught me is if you skip steps in life, you're gonna have to go back and repeat them. So do it right the first time.
Yeah.
And if you want to get something in life, you have to get up and get it yourself, because nobody's gonna give it to you.
100%.
So with those four foundations coming from two different households, my parents are divorced. So I was talking to my dad, and my dad and my mom have two different perspectives, and my dad was saying the same thing. So pretty much saying in the sense of having a more peaceful way of approaching things. So when I was talking to him, he was just pretty much saying, like, honestly, Vivianie, like, at the end of the day, after you do your research, after you find your voice and you find your footing, you just have to find a way to do it in a peaceful manner. It doesn't matter how tumultuous the other person is. It doesn't matter how crazy or vindictive that person can be. What matters is that you did your part.
Right.
You killed it with love and kindness.
Right.
So I was like, this man is just the guru.
Of
life.
I mean, I've just made it a mission to. I mean, it's always obviously this is my life and this is how I've been living, but now I've made it a point to make a change and make a statement in the way that I live. So number one, educating myself and knowing what I'm talking about.
Period.
And knowing what I believe in and what I stand for, what I'm fighting against. Like, I want to be able to look at someone and say, hey, this is why I'm protesting. Like, this is why I'm signing this petition. Like, this, not just because it's, you know what I mean? Like, not just...
it's convenient.
Right, it's convenient, or because this is what everyone else is doing. This is my life. Like, this is going forward. This is how I choose to live my life. And I also, being raised in a church, I choose to walk in love and treat my neighbor like how I would want to be treated.
Nice.
And at the end of the day, I think that's what it all just comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at each other like we're human beings,
mm-hmm.
and we treat each other in that light and in that manner, then there's no way that we can't bring about change.
Honestly, I wouldn't have said it better myself. And honestly, guys, I think this video was so necessary. I want to end it on that note. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, you should definitely comment, like, and subscribe. Leave your comments down below.
Listen, she's amazing, okay? And I'm not biased, all right? She's amazing.
Very amazing.
Okay.
I see how you thought I was gonna. Anyway, I just want to thank you guys for watching. And if you guys have any questions, there's going to be a bunch of links in the description box so you guys can actually answer your questions as well.
And let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.